So I am refinishing our living room furniture. It consists of two end tables, a coffee table, and I guess you'd call it an entertainment center. Yeah, it used to hold CDs, and it's got pictures in it and that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's really a dark wood, and my wife had been wanting me to lighten it up now for a while. So that's what I'm doing. And I've actually done one of the end tables. I'm going to show that in a separate video how I did that. But the one thing I do have to do is make 4 custom legs. The legs on the original, I'll show you, table looked like this. My wife thinks they look hideous. Well, I kind of do too. But I've already done a prototype. I just wanted to show you. It looks like this. It's tapered from top to bottom. It's maybe a little hard to tell, but it is. It's a 2-degree taper, and so it is just slightly, well, just almost the same size as in a square as it is on the original leg. So we're going to cut some boards and we're going to glue them up. It takes overnight for the glue to set up, and then the next round will be to sand them down and put the taper on them. I've got a table that I built just before I retired, actually, and I built in tracks. You can see these tracks right here. Well, we can't. I got tracks right here, and I got stops that I put on here so that I can measure out the initial length. Now, even though I built this and I know the measurements are right, I always double check, just because I'm paranoid, I guess. So I'm going to turn on the wet dry vac. It's my handy dandy desk extractor. Works okay. And then we're going to cut as many 11-inch lengths I can get out of this. The real nice thing about having this workbench with the tracks in there is that once I get a stop set up, it's just rinse and repeat. I don't have to worry about measuring again. I just have to cut, put the boards there, and keep cutting. So I'm going to cut as many as I can out of a couple pieces of 8-foot 1x3s, and then once they're all cut, then we'll be ready to glue them together. So after the boards were all cut, it's now just simply a matter of putting 4 of them together to create a leg. I'm using Titebond glue for this. So I just kind of, put it on one side of the board and then spread it out as best I can. I do want to get the glue all the way to the edge so I can get a good seam when I clamp them all together. So I just wipe this glue on and get it all spread out, and then I will place it onto the other 3, and then we'll clamp them together. And it's not vital, but it's really best if you can get the tops of the wood of the 4 pieces really flat, because the more flat they are, the less sanding you'll have to do to make them flat. So we do this, and I've got to do this for 3 legs. I've already had a prototype, and we'll let this dry overnight, and then we'll be ready to sand them down and get ready to make the final cuts on them. Okay, so these have dried overnight. They're pretty flat. So now I'm going to take, I got 60 grit. Could use 80, but I don't have any. So 60 grit's fine. It just work a lot quicker. So I'm going to sand down the seams to make them completely flat. And then once I have all that done to these 3, then I will cut the ends to the same length as that. And then I'll make my taper cuts, And then once that's done, I will sand them again, going through the grits all the way up to probably 180, maybe 220. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to use my Orbital to sand the sides where the wood was joined together. And I want to get this as smooth as possible. And once I do that, you can't see these seams at all. You know, with having to glue all the way to the edge, and then you cut, you know, sand this down, it looks like one solid piece of wood. Okay, now now they're all sanded. I'm going to cut off one end to you know, straighten it all up of each piece, and then I'll turn around and make the exact cut I need, which turns out to be 9 15/16. I meant to make it 10, but I didn't. I'm off by a 16th. So I'm going to turn on my wet dry vac to get as much of the sawdust out as I can, and we're going to cut this end off. So the first cut that I'm going to make is just to make the one end flat. Since, you know, there could be some wood sticking out, I just want to get it flat. Once I've done that to all the legs, then I will go back to make the final precise cut. I'm going to double check against my template. All right, that looks good. Since I have to make the length of these legs the same length as the prototype that I made, it took me a while to get this set up, get the stops right, especially because it turned out to be 9 15/16 instead of 10. It just took me a while. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but I really want this to be right. And so it took me a minute, a lot longer than what's being shown in this video to get this right. You know, the old saying, measure twice, cut once. I probably measured 15 times before I made that first cut, but it paid off because the final length was 9 15/16. Perfect. So once I got the first leg completely cut, the others were easy because the stops were already set up. I knew exactly what I was going to be doing. So it really pays to get that first measurement exactly right. So now that all the legs are cut, then I'm just going back and I'm sanding the cut edges, you know, just to get rid of any you know, burrs and just, you know, stuff left over from the cuts to make it nice and smooth. Having already made the prototype or the template, whatever you want to call it, made it real convenient to set up the where I needed to put the tapers on. Using my little Craig tool just to measure from the edge of the uncut board to the edge of the cut board. And so then I'm just going to draw a line down through here, kind of a reference line, and that's where I'm going to make my cuts. Do this on the other side, and then we'll be ready to go. This looks like it lines up. Like I said, 1.5 degrees. So what I do is I kind of lock this in on both sides. I'm going to double check this. Now, I'm going to clamp it down.
I don't have to clamp it very hard. I just want to be clamped enough so it doesn't. Let's double check this measurement. Okay, it looks good. Let's make the cut. Got some sanding to do there. Okay. Since I've already tapered one side, I gotta make a little adjustments here. Oh, that's way too much. Okay. This cut. Okay. Let's compare that to the template really quick. Pretty darn good. All right. Now let's turn this over. Let's see. We want to go now this way. I'm going to make some marks on this again. Alright, I made some alignment marks. So let's move this over just a little. That's too much. Yep, looks about right. Alright, need to clamp it down. We'll check. It's flat against the back, right? Actually, it's not flat against the back. It looks pretty good. Okay, let's see how they line up. Pretty good on that side. Just about perfect. Now that I've got all the tapers cut, I'm going to go through the grits. I originally sand all this at 60. I'm going to go through 120, 150, and I don't seem to have any 180, so I'm going to go to 220 and sand these down smooth, and then we'll be ready to prime. And this is the final product, made out of, you may not be able to see it, 4 1x3s glued together. I did, like I said earlier, I set it all the way to 220. Also rounded the edges with my, using 220 with the DeWalt Orbital. I could have used a router, but I didn't want to take off a lot. I just wanted to knock the edge off. So a router would have been, I could have used a small round over bit, but by the time I got it set up, I would be done. So that's it. That's how I made 4 custom legs for an end table that I am doing, and I've got 8 more to do. So if you have any questions, let me know, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do, and I will see you all on the next video from the next season.